There we go. There we go. Hey, do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's webinar. Of course, every Thursday night, just go on and jot it down for the foreseeable future. We're going to bring you a valuable training webinar. These webinars are designed for anyone particularly that's in the marketing space. It doesn't matter what you are marketing. You could be in nutrition, you could be in weight loss, you could be in cryptocurrencies. If you are a network marketer, MLMer, affiliate marketer, you're going to find tremendous value in what we're going to share on these Thursday night webinars. Also, this is a webinar that you also want to feel free to invite your following. You know, if you've got a team of some sort in some company, or you've got some prospects that are, you know, maybe haven't joined you just yet, but they're paying attention, they're taking a look. You know, one of the things you want to do in your business is you want to provide value. The more value you bring to the marketplace, the more the marketplace is going to reward you for the value you bring to it. You don't have to be the content creator. You don't have to be the one doing the webinar. But if you will direct people to quality content, direct people to quality webinars, then that's going to increase the value you're bringing to the marketplace, and ultimately you're going to be rewarded for the value you're bringing to the marketplace. Now, what we're going to focus on tonight is uncovering an average of $200 to $500 a month in previously untapped cash flow. The strategies we're going to share, I hope that we'll have time to get to at least 3 strategies to share with you on this evening. Now, you know, I can't promise that every single one of you, by employing all the strategies, will walk away with $200 to $500 a month. It's just been our experience since we've taught these strategies that's about where most people find themselves. There will be some who will come in under that number. There'll be some that will come in over that number. But on average, we see about $200 to $500 a month in previously untapped cash flow when people get the strategies we're going to teach. They're not difficult. They're very simple. And when they employ them, all right? So it's going to be up to you to employ the things that we are going to share. Now, the other thing I want you to be thinking of, I want you to take some notes on this when we are recording this, and we will be sending this out via our email list and to our more intimate following that we call RAS. All right. This type of information we're going to share tonight is information that you don't typically hear marketers talk about. So if you get 1 or 2 points that you say, you know what, that makes sense. I have that. I can share that. You know, even if you never did a video, you know, I could do the one, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3, and I can post that on Facebook or Skype or tweet it out so that you, excuse me, can also provide value in your own voice, okay? In your own voice. By the way, there's nothing that you'll ever hear me say on any of the webinars we do. Anytime we do a live webinar, there's nothing that you'll ever hear me say that's off limits for you to be able to use. In other words, if you want to take what we say and apply it and it resonates with you and you want to put it in your own voice, you want to put it in your own words, because there's nothing new, as I read in a book, there's nothing new under the sun. When I first came online, there was this prevailing teaching called attraction marketing. And what they would say is they would say, build a list and build a relationship with your list so that you can ultimately monetize your list. Build a list, build a relationship with your list so you can ultimately monetize your list. Okay? So I just put that in my own voice. I said, build a list, build a bond with your list so that you can ultimately monetize your list. I'm saying the same thing, just a slightly different voice. Just a way to kind of separate you a little bit from all the other marketing voices out there. And so with that being said, we're going to go to work. However, I want you to do this, do me a favor, and maybe you did this before. I want you to do it again. In your questions box, I would be interested to know what you good folks are promoting out there. So in your questions box, tell me the offer or offers that you are promoting. I just want to get a sense of the number of companies and niches that we have represented on tonight's webinar. Oh, someone said build the bond bank. Ooh, I like that, Dr. Chris. All right, so I see Talk Fusion. I see reverse commission. Starting to hear about that a lot. I see FutureNet. My $1 Biz, THW, 7K Metals, Crowd Rising. Maybe I wonder if that's a crowdfunding type of thing. Good Life. Good Life. Good Life. Is that a travel? That's where you give out travel cards. I believe it is. I think that's associated with travel. So we've got Traffic Power, Ad Plotter, Vacation, another travel. We've got Bitcoin. We've got healthcare. We've got weight loss. We've got another travel. Somebody's put in Zeke Rewards. I don't think you're promoting that one anymore. Too bad, because she was beautiful when she was up and running. Zookle, okay, I'm seeing that quite a bit out there. Okay, Moneyline, good stuff. Okay, all right, so we've got a lot of different offers that you're promoting. So keep this in mind, that on our webinars, when I mention the name of a company, I'm not doing it to endorse any specific company. It's just to so that people know that we've got a myriad of people promoting a myriad of different offers. Now, our webinars are sponsored by a system called RAS, that stands for Reverse Advertising System. This is a system that any marketer marketing anything can use to better promote whatever their offers happen to be, particularly by getting more leads, getting more sales and more recruits to whatever your endeavor happens to be. We'll do a little commercial about what RAS is, but let's give you some content now. All right, so now let's go to work. $200 to $500 a month. I'm going to be working from my whiteboard for most of this evening. If you have something that you can take notes with, feel free to take notes. We're going to go about 75 minutes, and then we'll have an optional Q&A. Okay, the first thing I want to do, though, is I want to kind of set the stage. I want to give you a foundation. And Queen mentioned this. We're going to talk about cash flow tonight. Okay, we're going to talk about cash flow tonight. Robert Kiyosaki, many of you know that name. Maybe you read some of his books or gotten some of his works. If not, he's somebody you really want to look up. Robert Kiyosaki. He is the probably his best known work is Rich Dad Poor Dad, where he chronicles his actual father, who loved him dearly, who was well educated, went through the system, but ultimately was poor. Not poor from the standpoint of being destitute, but just over broke, just kind of getting by. And then he had his rich dad. His rich dad was his mentor, and taught him how wealthy people think. He says that the poor and middle class don't think differently from the wealthy. They think opposite. Let me give you an example of opposite thinking. Okay, someone emailed me, and they were asking me about our webinar, and they said, and I guess maybe they might have been asking about RAS. And they said, hey, is it free? If it's free, then I'll give it a try. But if I have to pay, I'm not doing it. Well, okay, that's a person that has poor thinking. All right, not a bad person, I'm sure. All right, but I don't know them. All right, I don't know their business, but I can tell you, I already know that they're struggling in their business. Now, they might not be struggling financially, but they're struggling in their business. If they believe that they can have a worthwhile business without investing some type of capital into their business, obviously that's opposite thinking. All right. So now cash flow would be your inflows minus your outflows equals your cash flow. All right, your inflows minus your outflows. Inflows would be anything that's coming in. That could be from a job income. That can be from your business. That can be from investments. Maybe you are retired and you've got a pension, or you're drawing from some type of retirement vehicle or what have you. It's an inflow. It's an inflow. It's an inflow. It's an inflow. Okay. Outflows are going to be the things that go out. Your expenses. These could be business expenses. in your business. This could be your normal day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month personal expenses, your mortgage, your rent, your car payment, your groceries, things of that nature. All right. So inflows minus outflows equals cash flow. In the marketing arena, everybody focuses on the inflows. They talk about their income. They talk about the money they can make. All right. And that's where you get to all your pizzazz and what have you. Somebody's doing a YouTube video and they might even be showing their back office, showing their commissions or showing checks coming in or cash coming in or what have you. Inflows, inflows, inflows. All right. Rarely do you hear those same marketers talk about their outflows, that in order to get those inflows, they did some advertising. And so maybe they brought in $10,000 for the month, but they had $5,000 in advertising expenses. Okay. So we want to focus, yes, on the inflows. All right, but we also want to pay attention to the outflows, because when you understand this formula, there's two parts that make up cash flow. What comes in, what goes out. What comes in, what goes out. So there are two ways to increase your cash flow. Number one is to increase your inflows. All right, this is the key though. So long as you do not proportionately, I may not spell that right, proportionately, you get it. So long as you do not proportionately increase your outflows. Now, what does that mean? All right, so if I increase, let's say a person got a part-time job. I'm not recommending it, but let's just say that. So a person gets a part-time job so that they can bring in an extra, let's call it $600 a month, $150 a week. Okay, they get a part-time job. They bring in $600 extra a month. Okay, all right. Well, they've increased their inflows, but if they take that $600 and let's say they go out and they splurge, they take the $600 and they go out to eat more, they take the $600 and they buy something, especially if that has a monthly outlay, especially if it's not a good expense, it's not going to help them make money, then all they did was they netted, all right? So if they brought in $600 and another $600 goes out, that doesn't increase your cash flow. Your inflows increase, but so did your outflows, okay? Now, if your inflows increase, let's say you're doing a business and your inflows jump up to $1,000 a month, and you've got some outflows. You've got maybe an auto ship or a monthly subscription. Maybe you're doing some advertising, and let's say that all of your business expenses to generate $1,000 came up to $500 a month. Well, in that case, you increase your net cash flow by the 500. 1,000 in, 500 out, 500 net cash flow. So what we want to focus on is, yes, we do want to increase our inflows, but we want to make sure that as we have more inflows coming in, we do not proportionately increase our outflows. Now, very often, to generate more inflows, particularly from a business, will require that we do have more outflows, especially early on, to kind of prime the pump, okay? But we ultimately want to be at the point where we've got more inflows coming in than what our outflows are, so that we have positive cash flow. Second way to increase your cash flow is to decrease your outflows. All right, we're going to talk about that on tonight. So let's say, for instance, you started looking at every way that you were spending money, and you were able to cut out $100 of fat. All right, and I'm going to use U.S. dollar terms here. Of course, you put that in whatever that means in your part of the world. All right, so let's say you cut out $100 worth of fat, $100 worth of stuff that really isn't getting you to where you want to go. It doesn't make a difference in your quality of life or what have you. It's just, you know, it was bad money. Okay, bad money, meaning you were spending it for something and it wasn't getting you to where you wanted to go. Okay, well, that, even if you didn't increase your inflows, but you were able to decrease your outflows by $100 in this example, this would increase your overall cash flow by $100, because the formula is inflows, what comes in, no matter where it comes from, minus your outflows, what goes out, equals your cash flow. So 2 ways to increase your overall cash flow. Increase your inflows so long as you do not proportionately increase the outflow, and to decrease your outflow. That would give you more cash flow. Okay, so now 3 strategies, and hopefully we have time to cover all 3 strategies. All right, now not everyone is going to necessarily be able to employ this first strategy, but it's the strategy that gets the biggest bang for the buck for the ones that are able to employ it. Okay, so even if you cannot employ this strategy because your situation does not merit it, does not allow you to, I want you to understand the strategy. I'm going to give it to you in very simplistic terms in point 1, point 2, point 3, so that you can also now turn around in your own voice and share this concept with people in your following. You know, maybe you post this on Facebook. Maybe you tweet this out. If you're a video person, maybe you do, somebody is promoting Talk Fusion. So maybe you do a Talk Fusion video, send it out to your email list, all right? So that you can provide value to your audience, so that as you do that, your list now becomes more responsive to you, okay? All right, so now we call this the instant pay raise. And it's something that we've actually taught folks since probably the late 90s, early 2000. Okay, now, what this is, let me tell you who's going to qualify for this. Not everybody will, but let me tell you who's going to qualify for this. Give me a moment. So we like to call this the instant pay raise. Okay, now, this is going to be something that is going to impact a lot of people in the U.S. Now, if you're in Canada, if you're in Australia, if you're in the Philippines, if you're in Thailand, I don't know how this works in your part of the world. And I am not an accountant. I do not play one on TV. Okay, so I'm not professing to be an accountant or what have you. I just know that this works for a lot of folks that live in the U.S. So if you happen to live in, and now if you don't live in the U.S., all right, I still want you to pay attention, because it's likely, if you're marketing, that you will have, if you don't already now, will have a lot of people that follow you that are from the U.S. And so this is a very simple concept that you can share with folks to bring more value to the marketplace. All right, so person lives in the U.S., okay, they have 1 or more people in the household that works a job where they get a paycheck, okay? Where they get a paycheck. So if you live in the U.S. and you're self-employed, you live in the U.S., and let's say maybe you're married and both of you are entrepreneurs, probably not going to work for you, all right? But I still want you to get it, all right? Now, you live in the U.S. and both you and your spouse, if you're married, work a job. You bring home a paycheck. You've got taxes coming out on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis. Or maybe one of you, maybe wifey is a stay-at-home entrepreneur, you know, working her business, and hubby goes out and he works, or vice versa, what have you, all right? If one of you gets a paycheck and you have taxes taken out, this is a strategy you certainly want to pay attention to. Okay, all right, so now here's what we're going to do. Here's the strategy, all right? Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the third thing. You typically get a federal tax refund, okay? All right, so those are the 3 criteria. You live in the U.S., 1 or more of you in your household works a job for which taxes are taken out on, you know, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, and you typically get a federal tax refund. All right, now, what the system has done is it has duped people. All right, particularly if you live in the U.S., what happens especially in another few weeks, and you may not already be seeing this, you're going to see commercials, people selling cars, selling furniture, selling what have you, saying, hey, come on in with your tax refund, buy this stuff, be a consumer. Don't invest it. Don't be an entrepreneur. Just buy. Consume. Okay? So what the system has duped people into is to feel good about getting a tax refund. People get excited about the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 tax refund. Now, I want you to do something in the questions box, okay? And I'm not going to say your name. If you or your spouse works a job, you live in the U.S., and you typically get a federal tax refund, okay? In your questions box, I won't say your name, all right? In your questions box, give me the roundabout amount you normally get as a federal tax refund. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. What is an average tax refund for you and your family? Again, I will not say your name. Okay, I'm going to give you some amounts, but I won't say your name. I'm saying $1,200. I'm saying $2,200. I'm saying $2,500. I'm saying $500, $1,500, $1,500, $3,000, $2,000, $1,800, $5,000. Somebody says I have to pay back. Okay, $1,000. Okay, all right. So now let's take $2,400. Okay, this is nice round numbers. All right, so let's say that you average a $2,400 tax refund, okay? What this means is that you're actually overpaying into the tax system on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, however you are paid. So if you took the $2,400, divided it by 12 months, you'd come up with about $200 a month that you are overpaying the system, okay? You're overpaying in taxes. Now, think about this. Many of you are promoting particular offers that have an auto ship or monthly subscription. Now, a lot of people that get a tax refund, they get excited around tax refund time. All right, we've been duped. If your company that you have a monthly subscription with, or you've got a monthly auto ship with, if they overcharged you by $200 a month, and 12 months later they said, oh, you're going to get a refund of $2,400. How many of us would get excited about that? Or how many of us would say, you did what? You overcharged me $200 a month? Why am I going to get excited about getting my own money with no interest? I could have used that $200 a month times 12 months to do other stuff, pay off some other bills, to take my wife on a date. I mean, my wife went on a date the other day, all right, to pour back into my business, all right? But you see how they've duped us? People get all excited about a tax refund when it really is their money that they overpaid into the system. They get their money back 12 months later with no interest or what have you. And then we're taught to basically just consume that, to go out and buy doodads, stuff that's not going to make you money. All right, so now, the goal is to get as much of this $200 a month coming back into your paycheck, okay? As much as that $200 a month coming back into your paycheck. Now, so here's what we're going to do. Here's your very simple steps, okay? For those of you that this is you live in the U.S., you work a job, or your spouse works a job, and you typically get a federal tax refund. What you're going to do is you're going to go to irs.gov, okay? We're not going to say, hey, go and change your tax paperwork at your job to claim 8 or 9 or 73 or what have you. No, we're going to let the IRS actually tell us what you should be claiming. Now, oftentimes what happens is people think that when they're making claims on their tax work on their job, when they go to their employer and they fill out their tax paperwork, they think they are claiming dependents. Hey, I'm married. We've got 3 children. So I'm married, claiming, my 3 children as dependents. What you're really claiming on your with your tax paperwork are allowances. Those are tax allowances. And yes, having children in your household could be allowances, but other things could be allowances too, like your charitable giving allowances, your business expenses allowances. Now, I'm not really focusing on your business expenses tonight. Again, I'm not an accountant. I would bring on an accountant to do more of that, and we'll probably do that in the coming weeks. I'm talking about, hey, without me deducting a portion of my home for my business office, or a portion of my internet bill, or a portion of my utility bill, or a portion or deducting mileage for business miles. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about you work a job, or your spouse works a job. You get a paycheck. You pay taxes. And at the end of the year, and you file your tax paperwork, you normally get a tax refund. All right, so we're going to go to irs.gov. All right, and when we go there, so let's go there now. Okay, we are at irs.gov. All right, now right now, this is a hot topic. So you see where it says change your tax withholding. That won't always be there because this site changes from time to time. But you can make a note that you can either go up here. If you don't see this there, you can go up here. There's a little search feature, and you can put change your tax withholding. All right, so you can input change your tax withholding. That's a good thing to note if you were going to make a post on Facebook or tweet it out or what have you, because that site does change from time to time. All right, so they can go into the search. Another thing that they can search for is they can search for withholding calculator. That's what I've normally had people to do. Hey, go to irs.gov, and in the top right, you'll see a search and put withholding calculator. Let me put that in there real quickly just so I want you to see this. So if I go to change your tax withholding, left click, it brings me to this IRS withholding calculator. Let's go back for just a moment. And let's say that we just put withholding calculator up here in the search feature. Okay. And then it'll say IRS withholding calculator. We left click there. Brings us to the same page. All right. That page that says change your tax withholding, again, that won't necessarily always be there. That's a hot topic because we're getting closer to tax time for folks. All right. So now, what a person simply does is they go here, and all they have to do is follow the instructions. All right. There's a little video. There's a withholding calculator. You simply fill out the information. You know, are you married, filing a joint return? Are you single, or what have you? Can anyone else claim you as a dependent? You know, and so you just start going through this. All right, you just start going through this, okay, and just fill out the information. It will tell you what you want to have. So that you can fill this out properly, have your most recent pay stubs handy, have your most recent income tax return handy, so on and so forth. But the reality is all you do is you fill out this calculator. Very simple, all right? This is not some dude on the webinar telling you to claim this or claim that. I don't know what you should claim. I'm not a tax accountant. Don't play one on TV. The IRS is giving you the calculator based on the input that you give to them. And it's going to say, oh, you should be claiming 4 or 5 or 7 or 3 or whatever that happens to be. Okay? And then you simply go to your employer and say, hey, I want to fill out a new W-4. So if the system says that, hey, you are married, you should be saying claiming married and 5 allowances. All right? And maybe you've only been claiming 2. All right. When you go and you make that change, all right, normally, sometimes as early as the very next pay cycle that you get, certainly typically within a couple of pay cycles, you're going to see more money, more inflows in your check. So if you've been getting a $2,400 a year tax refund and you do what we just suggested, you're going to likely see somewhere in the neighborhood, give or take, of a couple $100s a month extra coming into your paycheck. So if you get paid every week, maybe you're seeing an extra $50 or so a week, or every 2 weeks, maybe an extra $100 or so a week, or what have you. All right. Now, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. First, if you qualify based on what we've said, I want you to go through that process. Don't let them keep your money. And you say, yeah, but I like my tax refund. Well, guess what? You've got a home business. You should be able to generate additional tax deductions that still might allow you to get a tax refund, so that you get this money now in your paycheck, and you still may wind up getting a tax refund because you start paying attention to your business expenses and things of that nature. That's the focus of tonight's webinar. This webinar is, hey, to meet you right where you are. And for those of you that this is not your situation, this is something I would get. It's very simple. And this is something that I would share to bring value to my audience. Okay? All right. What we've seen, all right, so some of you, give me a moment. All right, so somebody said they get about $1,800. So if you divide that by 12, that's about $150 a month that you very well could see, give or take, coming back into your paycheck. Somebody else said $2,000. That's about $166 a month. Somebody else said $3,000. That's about $2,500 a month. Somebody else said $1,500. That's about $125 a month. Whatever that amount happens to be, all right, simply take it, divide it by 12, and that's roughly how much extra you are paying into the system that you don't have to pay. I'd rather see you get that money back right now. It's been our experience that when we've shared this and folks have followed through, that about, on average, about $150 to $250 a month comes from this strategy alone. So now, imagine being able to post on Facebook, post on Twitter. Hey, if you would like to discover how you could put an extra $150 to $250 a month back into your paycheck, to find out the details, inbox me. All right, and then they inbox you. Now you know who's really paying attention, and you give them, hey, do you get a tax refund? You live in the U.S. You have one or more people in your household that works your job. Do you typically get a tax refund? If so, go to irs.gov, click on change your tax withholding, or put that in the top right, and just follow the information, change your tax return. Change your taxes based on the irs.gov, and that should put an extra $150 to $250 back into your life. Now, for those of you that this is, you would qualify for this, go through this, okay? And now you've got a testimony. Now you can say, hey, look, guyettes, I got an extra $100 a month in my paycheck, or my husband or my wife got an extra $100 a month or $200 a month in their paycheck because of this very simple tip, and I want to show you what we did. Now all of a sudden, you got a testimony, okay? All right. So for those of you who have already got value out of that, put a V in your questions box. You got some value out of that, man, either that can work for me, or I can see how I can share that with others and it works for them, and it helps me to bring value to the marketplace. Okay, fantastic. All right, for those of you that have RAS, that you qualify for this, I want you to go and do it, and then I want you to come back in RAS and let us know your results. All right, an extra $100 a month, $150 a month, or maybe it breaks down weekly or what have you. Okay, now here's the big thing. Whatever you bring in as additional inflows, let's make sure that we're not going out and spending it frivolously. Let's make sure we're doing something constructive. Constructive could be obviously paying down some debt, which increases your cash flow once you start to pay off that debt, right? Okay, because if all of a sudden you pay off a debt, all right, and you no longer have that monthly outflow, that just increased your cash flow. Maybe you're setting aside for savings or for investments, or better yet, since most of us are in the business building mode, you're leveraging that to help you to build your businesses, maybe with the systems and the tools and the advertising, whatever it takes for you to build your business. Okay. All right. By the way, if you are building a team, you have a team of folks, you definitely want to share that concept with them, okay? Definitely share that concept with them, because I'm going to tell you how we've used this in times past. In times past, we would lead with this. I'm not suggesting that you do this, but in times past, if we had someone that was interested in our offer and they said, hey, I just don't have the money, a lot of times we would come back and say, hey, anybody, you live in the U.S.? Yes. Anybody in your household, including yourself, work a job and you have taxes taken out? Yes. Do you normally get a federal tax refund? Yes. If you don't mind me asking, roughly how much is it? Oh, $2,400 a year on average. Well, shoot, that means about $200 a month you're overpaying into the system. Let me show you how you can get that money back in your paycheck, a couple $100 a month, thereabout back in your paycheck. And now you've got resources to get started with the business. And that person is going to feel, you share that with a person like that, it's going to be hard for them not to want to do business with you. Okay? All right. So cool. Let's go to strategy number 2. By the way, none of these strategies are difficult. All right? It's just that most people are not as financially astute as we should be, and that's by design. The systems have designed it so that we're not as financially astute as we should be. The systems have designed it to say, go to work, go to school, get a good education, and then come work for me. Okay, that's basically what the systems are designed to do. This kind of stuff should be taught, when people can start to read. Okay, all right, so now, this is something that all of us can do, no matter what part of the world that you live in, all right? What I want you to do with strategy number 2 is I want you to go through all of your bank statements, particularly your online ones, because it's easier to spot. Go through your bank statements, every one of your credit card statements. Again, it's easy to do for your online. Go through your online payment systems, such as PayPal, Payza, Solid Trust Pay, just to name a few. Let's see if there was anything else. Bank statements, credit card statements. If you have any other, maybe you've got some other prepaid cards, maybe a prepaid debit card or what have you. Okay, I want you to go through all of your statements. First, before I go through this, I need to give you this concept. Okay, again, this comes from Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki teaches a concept of good expenses versus bad expenses. Good expenses versus bad expenses, okay? Someone in your questions box, tell me, what do you think a good expense is versus a bad expense? So what do you think? What's a good expense? What's a bad expense? What's a good expense? What's a bad expense? Tell me in your questions box. I'll give you a few moments to do that. What's a good expense? What do you think a good expense is? What do you think a bad expense is? Someone said food. Good is food. Spend on yourself to learn. Good insurance. A good expense is a home. Someone says a house is a bad expense. Maybe they've been reading Kiyosaki. They say a mortgage. I don't know if that's good or bad. Someone says spending money on your business is a good expense. Business is good. Cigarettes are bad. Thank you, Gladys. Okay. All right. So now, let me give it to you in Robert Kiyosaki terms. All right. Good expenses are expenses that make you money. I'm going to put potential. Because there's going to be some expenses, our being in the home business arena, that we might expend, we might outlay some funds right now, and it didn't give us an immediate return, but down the road we expect it to provide more coming in than what is going out, okay? All right, so good expenses are expenses that make you money, or at least have the potential to make you money, meaning you make more money than what the actual expense is. All right, so here's a good example. All right, here's a good example. In my business, I have about $400 a month that I outlay specifically for my email list building endeavors. All right, just for my email, So this includes my lead capture system that I use. Now, I've got the most upgraded version of that particular system because of the features that I use. You know, I could lower that, but then I would lose some of the features. But I look at good expenses versus bad expenses. So I've got that. I've got my email autoresponder. I've got my third-party video, what's the word I'm looking for? Video sharing, I'll say sharing, video sharing site. I've got my my push notification system. Okay, so this is when I say 400, I'm adding all that up because when I do a webinar like I'm doing tonight, and when I record that webinar, all right, I send that out to my email list, and I use what I refer to as a video blog, which is basically a platform for my lead capture system. I'm sending that out via my email autoresponder. Some of the content that I send out, I don't post on YouTube. There's some content I'll post on YouTube. There's some content that's more premium content that I use a third-party video sharing site, okay? And then I also, let's say, for instance, tonight's recording, once it's rendered, it'll be sent out sometime over the weekend. I'll also send that out through my push notification system. All right, so when I add up my outlays for each of these things that help me to build my responsive email list, I'm at about $400 a month. All right, now, is that a good expense? That's $400 a month. That's $400 a month. Is that a good expense for me? You better believe it, because the end result is I generate much more than $400 a month because I'm doing these things. If we took these things away, I wouldn't generate the revenue that I generate, because I would not have the list that I have. I would not have the means to communicate as effectively and to communicate the value as effectively. It is an expense, but it's a good expense, okay? It's a good expense. All right, now this is what's interesting is, here's one thing that you need to take a look at in your business, okay? If you are spending more money for your offer, you're in a network marketing company, you're on auto ship, your auto ship is $150 a month. And if that is your single biggest expense in your business, I'm not telling you to stop that. What I am telling you is you're not putting your money where it's going to best benefit you. I'm not telling you to stop that. What I'm saying is, what is more important than your auto ship, your monthly subscription for your offer, is you building your responsive list. I'm going to give you a really good example. All right, so in June of this year, we started promoting a specific offer. Came across our desk. We thought it had some promise. We weren't sure if it was going to deliver. We said, hey, we don't know if this thing is crap, if this thing is gold. Could be crap, could be gold, don't know. We'll see. All right, and for a while there, it certainly looked like it was going to be gold. Well, it's kind of turned out, I don't know if it's completely crap, but it certainly hasn't produced what we would have liked for it to produce. However, because of my lead capture system, because of my email autoresponder, because of my third-party video sharing site, because of my push notification system, we grew our list by several thousands of folks while we were promoting that particular offer. But take away this right here, I don't grow my list by several thousands of folks. And then when people said, oh my gosh, that thing's not working, forget it, guess what? We wouldn't have been able to monetize any of that. Because of this good expense, we're still able to monetize that following. Now, we have kept our word. We told our folks that, hey, if you opted into our system, our webinar system, we will never send out personal referral links to this list. And we have honored that. The reality is, however, that a lot of the folks that were in that list, certainly not all, have followed us even though that particular offer hasn't done what we had hoped it was going to do. And in doing so, they may be doing business with us in other arenas, all right, which allows us to generate revenue, which exceeds this right here. So this was a good expense. This is a good expense. So a bad expense is an expense that costs you money without the potential of generating additional income. Okay? All right. So, this is purely talking in economic terms. This is not talking about how it makes you feel. This is not talking about, those types of things. So, as an example, yesterday, my wife and I, we went out. We had a really nice meal, okay? That meal cost us money. From a pure economic standpoint, that was a bad expense in that my eating that meal or our having that meal did not generate any income, okay? And it's not really going to generate the potential of income. Now, it doesn't mean that you stop all bad expenses, that you can't. You can't, all right? What it does mean is that we want to at least look at all of our expenses, and those bad expenses, we want to see, can we cut them out without cutting out life? That's very important. Without cutting out life, okay? So our eating out yesterday, having a really nice meal at a decent restaurant, was not a good expense from the standpoint of that's going to make us money, but it was important for she and I being able to bond, being able to, particularly after what she's dealt with over the past couple of years with some major health issues. Now she's doing so much better. She was went to physical therapy today. And, I got to tell you this, guys. Got to tell you this. All right. And I don't know I'm going to be able to get this one out without choking up a little bit. So this time last year, she's in the hospital. She's fighting for her life. And she had an infection that very well could have cost her life. And finally, she comes out of the hospital. Well, it appears that infection went and hid in her back. And it caused her just so much pain and agony and grief, and made one of her vertebrae very brittle. So she basically wound up having a broken back. They said it could have happened from her just moving in the bed. All right. And so for all of this year, she's had major mobility issues. For some part of the year, she couldn't walk, really. All right. So we transferred her to a wheelchair and what have you. So she had surgery back on September the 13th, some back surgery. And since then, she's doing much, much better. But she has still been walking with the aid of a walker. And, of course, that's not something she wants to do. I mean, we're in our mid-40s. That doesn't make her feel good. Well, guess what happened today? She comes back from physical therapy. And my baby was walking without the walker. Praise my Heavenly Father. I know this is not a faith-based webinar, but you got to just give me a moment, because she's not walked without a walker in a year. And today, and she didn't go very far, but she walked without a walker. And I called down my sons. I said, guys, come down here. Come look at mama. Come look at mama. And my youngest son, who is probably the most emotional of anybody in our household, just started to weep because he saw his mama walking without a walker. So I just, woo! All right. Okay, I'm excited. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go through the ways that we're spending money, and we really want to pay attention because we as online marketers, as network marketers, a lot of times we buy stuff that looks really good and then we don't use it, or it winds up not being what we thought it was going to be, or we get so busy with doing a whole bunch of stuff that all of a sudden we've got a monthly subscription. Something that we thought was going to be a good expense has now turned out to be a bad expense because we're not using the training, or we're not using the system, or what have you. And a lot of other infopreneurs know this. So what happens is you have a lot of systems out there that will have a test drive or a trial, free for 7 days. Test drive, $1 for 14 days. All right. And they know there's going to be a percentage of people that aren't going to use the product, aren't going to use the service, that life is going to happen. They're just going to forget. And all of a sudden they're going to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 months of monthly subscriptions because we aren't paying attention. So I want us to pay attention. All right. I want us to go through all of our bank statements. All right. If you have more than one bank account, then go through all of them. Let's look at the last 3 months. What's been coming out of your bank statements? All right. What's been coming out of your checking account, ACH? All right. What's coming out on your credit card? All right. What are you paying for monthly or every 3 months or what have you? Is that still a good expense for you? Or was it a good idea at the time, but the reality is it's not making you money now, and you don't see how that's going to help you make money anytime soon? Okay. Check your PayPal. All right. So I'm going to give you some examples of what I've done here just recently. All right. So there was a system that I wanted to check it out. I'd heard about it, and I said, okay, I'll check it out. And I think it was free for 14 days or $1 for 14 days or something like that. And then thereafter it was $37 a month. All right. Well, I got the freebie for 14 days. I did the trial, got into the system. It was impressive. $37 a month. I was willing to pay the $37 a month, and I probably did it for about 3 or 4 months. And then I realized, you know what? It's a good system, but that's not where I am right now. All right. So I don't need to pay this $37 a month right now. So what started out to be what I thought was going to be a good expense had now become a bad expense because this expense was not making me money. All right. And it wasn't something that was going to make me money anytime soon. All right. So now I went through support and said, hey, thank you for the service. I appreciate the service, but I'm not using it. Could you please cancel my service? By the way, I want you to do me a favor. As an online entrepreneur, as a network marketer, okay, unless you get outright scammed, if you buy something, it was a test drive and then you didn't cancel it and you got billed or what have you, unless it's an outright scam, don't call the credit card company and do a chargeback. Don't do that, okay? And the reason that is because companies in the online marketing space have a hard enough time getting good merchant account providers as it is, because there is a lot of turnover and there's the potential for fraud and what have you. So I can tell you, having been an owner, a part owner of a network marketing company, it is tough getting merchant accounts. You've got to pay much more than a traditional business. A lot of times you've got to put up a lot of money that you can't even touch just to get the merchant account processor to do business with you. We had a situation where we had, I think, 5 merchant accounts with the company that we own or part owners of. And one of the merchant account, they only gave us like $100,000 limit. And I forget how much money we had to put up for that, maybe 20 or 30 or 40,000 for that. And we went over the limit by like $5,000. So they said, hey, you can charge $1,000 worth of billing. And we went over by like $5,000, 105. And without warning, they shut down the account. They froze the money for 180 days. We had to pay commissions. We had just done an event where people bought stuff and we got to pay commissions on it. And, they shut down the account. They held the money for 180 days. Our reps didn't care about that. They wanted to make their money. Okay. So don't issue chargebacks against a network marketing company because you didn't like the product, or unless you were just outright scam. If it wasn't an outright scam, just eat it. Okay. All right. So here's what happened. So what started off to be a good expense wound up being a bad expense because I wasn't using the product or the service. All right. It wasn't their fault. It was still a good product or service. I wasn't using a product or service. So I go through support. Hey, would you do me a favor and cancel this? I'm not using it. I value your service. I bid you much success, but I'm not using it. Would you please cancel it? Okay. So I go about my merry way, and I'm thinking it's canceled. Well, then I take a look at my credit card statements, and I see that they hadn't stopped billing. Now, this isn't a thing where they were trying to get me. This wasn't some multi-billion-dollar company. This was probably a good marketer who developed his own system and maybe had a few customer service people, what have you. But this wasn't some gigantic company that had an infusion of millions of dollars backing it up. It was probably just a mistake. All right. But had I not gone through to check out my statements, I wouldn't have caught it. And I'd been billed 2 months after I'd requested not to be billed $37. Okay. So that's almost $75. I went back to them and said, hey, here is the statement. Here's the message that I sent you on this date. I've been billed. Could you please stop my billing, and could you please refund my billing? All right. I didn't go to the credit card company. They took care of it, what have you. My point is, if we don't pay attention to things like our bank statements, like our credit card statements, we of all people are more apt to wind up having things that we're paying for that we're not using than someone who's not in the online space, because a lot of us attempt a lot of things. We try a lot of things. You see a marketing course out there, or you see some type of membership site out there. It looks good, sounds good, probably is good, but then by the time you got so much going on, you don't even go into the membership site. All right, but you're still paying for it. All right, so we want to stop that. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Also look at PayPal. All right, also look at PayPal. Look at Payza. Look at Solid Trust Pay. All right, let me tell you another story. All right, so a few years ago, I'm offline. This is before we really started to promote anything online, and I'm with a particular company. That particular company has a monthly subscription. Its highest monthly subscription is $129.95 a month, $130 a month. Okay, and so I had a team offline, and we saw that company going south. So we let our team know that we were no longer going to promote it, and we were promoting something else. Excuse me. And the place of worship that I attended at the time, there were quite a few folks that went to the same place of worship that were on our team. And this couple, they just weren't paying attention. So even though we had said, hey, we're no longer with this company, this is what we're doing now, they didn't pay any attention. Well, about a year, maybe even 15 months after we had left the $130 a month company, after our worship service, a couple comes up to me. They said, hey, are you with ABC Company? Are you still with them? I said, no, I haven't been with them in, 12 months, 15 months. Been a while. No, Well, You know what? We still have $130 a month coming out. Should we stop that? So here's this couple, $130 a month. Let's say it was just 12 months. That's $1,500. That was just a cash drain to them. $130 a month that they could have been using to pay off other debts. Even if they, let's say, they weren't paying attention to the business, let's say they weren't building a business, but that's $130 a month. So what we want to do is we want to plug up these money leaks. All right, we want to plug up these money leaks. Now, in some cases, it's a situation where it's just a service that we're just not using. And we don't see that we're going to use it anytime soon. It was a good idea at first. Maybe you just need to go in and stop that. Okay? In some other cases, it could be that maybe you have a system and it's got several levels of service. Let's say it's got a bronze and a silver and a gold, and you're at gold. You want the service, but you don't really need the gold service. So maybe you come down from gold to silver, all right, and that frees up some revenue for you there. There was one offer that I was promoting where it was one of those offers where basically to make money you had to either sell so much of the service or you had to buy it, all right. And so I was no longer promoting it because they really hadn't gotten their act together. I was waiting for them to get their act together. We kind of started promoting it in the pre-launch stage. I'm not talking about this latest offer from 6 months ago. This was something else. And I kept the service because I was generating more revenue from it than what my monthly subscription was. But I paid attention to it because the moment that I was not generating more revenue to cover my monthly subscription, what did I do? I canceled. So I would not have. So I had the highest monthly subscription at first. Let's call it the platinum subscription. Let's say it was, I'm going to give you some fictitious numbers. Let's say it was $249 a month. Okay. And then I noticed that, the company hadn't quite gotten its act together just yet. And I was able to go down from platinum to the gold. Let's say that was $149 a month. And I was able to do that without losing commissions. All right. So I reduced from $249 to, let's say, $149. So that's $100 of newfound cash flow that I can use for other things that will help me with my business. All right. And then ultimately, I stayed there until we got to the point where, virtually the people that were in the business, they had also stopped paying and what have you. There was no monthly revenue coming in. So then we stopped it. So make sure that you go through this. Now, this may take a little time. Do it. Okay? Make sure. If you see something on a credit card statement you don't recognize, don't just pick up the phone and call your credit card statement and start some type of dispute. No, get in touch with that vendor, find out what that was. There was something that was hitting my credit card statement. I haven't a clue where it came from. And I think it might have been on my wife's credit card statement. But I figured she probably did it, and then she got ill and probably didn't remember it. All right, so we just stopped it. I think it was like $9.95 a month. But every $10 here and $25 there and what have you. Okay. All right. So do that. All right. Now, before I give you strategy number 3, let's just do a quick commercial here. By the way, if you are getting value, if you got value out of that, and I need you to do that now. Don't just hear that and know that sounds good. I need you to go and do that. All right. So, first off, if you're committed to going through your credit card statements, your banking statements, your PayPal pays, or Solid Trust Pay, prepaid cards, to make sure you're not spending money on stuff that you shouldn't be spending money on, then put in there in the questions box C for I'm committed. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the time to do that. Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of these companies bank on folks being lazy. And that's one of the reasons they do the trial offer. It's not just so that you can come inside and take a look. It's so that it's easier to get your credit card information. If they do a trial for 7 days or 14 days, it's easier for them to get your credit card information, for you just to, out of sight, out of mind, forget about it, and then you get charged a month, 2, 3, in that couple's case, maybe 12 or 15 months. Okay? All right, good. Some of you are saying, I've been doing this. Good for you. Okay? All right. I would make it a monthly, something you do monthly. See, when you used to get statements in the mail, people kind of went through those a little bit more. Now that they're online, people say, oh, I'll get to it. And that they expect that. They expect us to be lazy. They expect us to be dumb and lazy. They want us dumb and lazy. The dumber we are, the lazier we are. Of course, I'm not calling anybody dumb. Please understand that. Then the more money they can extract from us. And we don't have a problem if it's a good expense. We just don't want it to be a bad expense. Okay? All right. Okay, real quickly, before we go into the next strategy, all right, which will take us to the end of the webinar, I want to just talk a little bit about RAS. What is that? If you're not familiar with it, or maybe you're familiar with it and you don't have it, that stands for Reverse Advertising System, but we just call it RAS. And let me tell you what she is, okay? She is a generic mobile marketing platform. So I asked the question, what are you promoting? Somebody was promoting Talk Fusion. Somebody was promoting Paycation. Somebody was promoting a whole bunch of stuff you guys were promoting. You heard some of the things that you were promoting. All right, here's what we did is we've been in this industry 20 plus years. And we've had some really big wins, and we've had some horrific, losses. That's just being an entrepreneur. You're gonna have more losses than you have wins in terms of the opportunities. Just like in the game of baseball, the biggest home run hitters, also the people that struck out the most. Michael Jordan would tell you, out of all of the game-winning shots he had far more shots that he missed at the end of the game that they lost. All right, that's just part of being an entrepreneur. But I'm going to be honest with you. I really just kind of got fed up. Okay, you promote an offer, you don't own it, and then they do something stupid, and now the offer goes away. And so just really got tired of that. And this last one, we spent so much time on it. We just, I tell you what, let's just take our business a totally different direction. And so the way we've taken our business is so that we can be generic, so that we can now provide value to the overall marketing space, as opposed to just a specific offer. And I'm not telling you to stop promoting your specific offers. I'm just telling you a little bit about our business and why RAS is what it is, so you can leverage it for what it is to promote your specific business, okay? So what we found is that when you go generic, you're able to impact a lot more people, okay? If I was promoting on the front end a nutritional offer, the only people that are going to be interested in that offer are going to be people who are interested in nutrition, or they are business builders and they love the compensation system or what have you. And for them, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all about the comp plan. But the all about the comp plan people are typically only the big leaders in our industry. If a person hasn't already built a large team, then it tends to be more about the offer than it does just about the comp plan, because they've tried 17 different things that had a comp plan and hadn't made money yet. So the comp plan is not what woos them. It's because they believe that there's a product or a service that will bring value to the marketplace and then will help them build a team or get sales or what have you. All right, so what we have found is that when we're able to go to the marketplace, like I was in Facebook yesterday and today, and instead of me saying, hey, join me in my nutritional offer, my weight loss offer, my travel offer, no disrespect, and I'm not foo-fooing on any of that, I made a post and I said, hey, The direction of my business has changed. I no longer am leading in with my network marketing company. Instead, I'm working with marketers from all across the globe to help them to better promote their business, help them get more leads, more sales, more recruits. I got immediate responses. And I said, hey, tell me what you're promoting. And I had people showing me what they were promoting and what have you. And so now we're engaged with those folks, whereas before, if they were promoting vacation and I'm not in travel, let's say if I'm promoting cryptocurrencies, but they're promoting a travel deal, we would just be shouting at each other, okay? And so Raz is a generic mobile marketing platform. It's designed to help you to build the most responsive of lists, which is a mobile list. We tested it for 3 years, and we have, I can tell you, as much as I told you, I put out about $400 a month on my email list building activities. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not going to stop that, but I can tell you that my mobile list is far more responsive than my email list. I can generate more revenue with a much smaller mobile list than I can with a larger email list, because mobile by its nature is more responsive. And what our system helps you to do is it helps you get more leads. One of the ways you can do that is that for folks who actually leverage our system, you can actually get leads, verified mobile opt-ins from the system. So if you don't know anything yet about lead generation, I want you to learn that stuff. But if you don't know anything about good lead generation right now, if you leverage Raz, you can simply buy. We're not just talking about buying traffic where you're buying eyeballs to look at your offer. We're talking about people who actually opt in, not with an email address, but opt in with a cell phone number, which is a far more intimate lead. So our system is designed to help you get more leads, ultimately get more sales, and more recruits. Now, one of the ways that happens is that when you leverage our system, and let's say you go to the marketplace, and instead of leading with your nutritional offer, your weight loss offer, your travel offer, or what have you, which automatically, all right, we're going to get back to the training in a moment, but automatically when you lead in with that offer, you just significantly reduce your pool of prospects. Because think about it. If you're promoting Amazon Juice, fictitious name, if you're promoting Amazon Juice, you love your Amazon Juice product, love the compensation plan, and you meet someone on Facebook and they're promoting Siberian Juice, fictitious name, all right, you're not going to get them to join you. You're not going to get them to buy from you. Why? They are just as sold out about their Siberian Juice as you are your Amazon Juice. And it could be that they just joined Siberian Juice yesterday. They just made an investment of capital, time, resources, researching it yesterday. They don't want to be proven wrong. All right, so they're not going to join you in Amazon Juice. You're not going to join them in Siberian Juice. You just wind up saying, my daddy can beat your daddy. And they say, my daddy can beat your daddy. So with Raz, we can get away from all of that. And we can provide a generic mobile marketing platform that will help the Siberian Juice dude and the Amazon Juice dudette get more leads and more sales and more recruits. And the other thing that happens is, even if no one ever joins your whatever you're promoting, all right, ever joins your, we'll say, deal. I don't mean to make that sound like it's bad, all right, but even if no one ever joins your deal, Raz has its own kick butt compensation system. So what Raz allows us to do is to go to the marketplace and serve, bring value to the marketplace, because the more value we bring to the marketplace, the more the marketplace will reward us. It allows us to build the most responsive of all lists, which is a mobile marketing list. It allows us to get leads from the system, and I can tell you, we've done some other traffic generation methods for Raz. The leads that we've gotten internally from the system have been the most responsive of those leads. They have converted the best. And ultimately get more sales, get more recruits. And oh, by the way, what happens if people don't join you? You still can make a lot of money. So here's what I'm going to want you to do at the end of the webinar is whoever got you to tonight's webinar, you'll be able to take their tour, or maybe you started the tour, having all the way gone through it, complete the tour. so you can find out how Raz can help you get more leads, get more sales, and get more recruits. All right, that was our commercial. We've got time to share the last strategy. All right, last strategy. It's called the 10. At least the last strategy we're going to share tonight. 10-10 principle. Okay? Very simple. It says, look at every way you spend money and pick out at least 10 ways. This may not be the best way to say this, but okay. I didn't prepare this one here. All right, so look at every way you spend money and pick out at least 10 ways that you can reduce without cutting life by at least $10 a month. This gets you immediately $100 a month of newfound cash flow. Now, you might combine what we just taught with the 10-10 principle, because you may very well find some things that you are being billed for that are not good expenses for you right now that you want to cut out. But this goes beyond that. It's not just looking at your credit card statements or your PayPal statements or what have you. All right, so let me give you a few examples. Okay. All right, I'm going to give you this concept here. All right, jot this one down. This would be a nice one that maybe you put in on Facebook or post on Facebook or what have you. Sacrifice is the ability to give up something you like to create something you love. Okay? All right. So let's make sure we go through this. So what you want to look at every way you're spending money. You're spending money on groceries. You're spending money on your electric bill. You've got a cable bill, or maybe a satellite bill. You've got your cell phone. You've got life insurance. If you don't, you need to get life insurance. Make sure, heaven forbid, if something happens to you, that your family can take care of the expenses. And I'm not just talking about expenses. If something happens to me, I've told my family, don't you put me in the ground. You find another way. Don't put me in the ground. All right. I'm not just talking about expenses, what they call final expenses. I'm talking about, heaven forbid, if something happened to me, heaven forbid, if something happened to me, I want to make sure that there's enough life insurance so that my family doesn't have to change their lifestyle. They're already mourning because I'm no longer here. I don't want them to have to change their lifestyle financially. So make sure you got a good life insurance plan. But that's something that you can check out. You can go online, selectquote.com or what have you, and compare to see if you have getting the biggest bang for your buck. Car insurance. I know when I did this for years and years and years, I heard the Geico commercials. And I got my car insurance from someone who was in one of my network marketing enterprises way back when. He was with Allstate, and he was on our team. And so I wanted to do business with him because he was doing business with me. Okay. And so I had Allstate for years and years and years. Well, he was no longer with Allstate. And finally I said, you know what? Let me call up Geico. Let me see if I can save money on my car insurance. And sure enough, I did. I saved about $400 a year without reducing my coverage. My coverage either stayed the same. I think I got slightly better coverage, okay? So now all of a sudden, here's $400 a year. If you break that down monthly, all right, that's $33 a month. Well, the goal is at least $100. So there's $33 a month right there, all right? Now, what do we mean by here when we say reduce those expenses without cutting life? Okay, there's certain things that are bad expenses in that they don't make you money, but they're really important to you and you don't want to cut it out. All right, let me give you an example. All right, so before I moved to my Caribbean paradise, I had to have my DirecTV. And the only reason I had DirecTV is so I could have my NFL Sunday ticket. I work my business. I work on it and I work in it. I do a lot of throughout the week. I'm cutting content. I'm posting content. Now with Raz, we are answering questions in there, and I've got now I'm going into Facebook, doing a little stuff in Facebook, and about to launch some other marketing strategies and what have you. So I'm kind of being a student with some freshening up on some marketing strategies. And so I got all this stuff going on, right? So for me, I don't require a lot. But one thing that's really important for me is my NFL football. I got to see my Pittsburgh Steelers play. I've got to see my Carolina Panthers play, although I haven't wanted to see them play that much this year. They've done horribly, the Panthers. All right, so I got DirecTV so that I could have the NFL Sunday ticket because that's the only way I could get it. And that was one of my, hey, I know it's not making me any money, but this is for me. And ladies, maybe that's you getting your hair done or whatever that is. For some folks, it's bowling. For some folks, it's golfing. Okay, so we don't want to cut life. We don't want to cut those things out that are really important to you. Now, you shouldn't have 75 things like that unless you just, have it like that money-wise. But if you're in the building stage, we want to look at ways that we can without cutting life. So this is what I did. I looked at my DirecTV bill. I wasn't going to cut out my NFL Sunday ticket, but we were paying for premium channels that none of us were watching. I just didn't have the time to watch it. My family weren't watching it, or it was kind of stuff that I didn't want them to watch. And so what I did is I think I was paying $150 a month for everything. And I looked at my bill with DirecTV. I gave them a call. And I said, look, I don't need all this stuff. I'm looking to reduce my expenses. I want to cut it down to this package. Immediately, they wanted to keep my business. And they gave me some other deal. I forget what the deal was. I chose not to take it, but I wound up cutting my monthly expense down to, I think it was 60. I cut it down like $60. All right. So I was still able to keep my NFL Sunday ticket, but I had $60 worth of waste. And listen, at that time in particular, that was, hey, Dr. Chris, you mentioned Zeke Rewards. That was when Zeke Rewards was still up and running, dude. Man, $60 would not have impacted our life, all right? But we still want to, even when we're making good money, you're making good money, more money than what you need to live an enjoyable, comfortable life, you still want to keep those expenses at bay, okay? All right, so now, I move over to my Caribbean paradise. And where we were originally were, we couldn't get DirecTV. Crud. So I was able to get something online where I could still watch my games. And then all of a sudden now, I was able to get DirecTV. All right, coming up in the world. All right, I can get my NFL Sunday ticket. And there was I was treated as a new customer, and there was a promotion where, you get DirecTV, you get the Sunday ticket, and you get like these premium channels for free for like 90 days or whatever the time frame happened to be, okay? Once again, it's almost like one of those free trials. The whole idea is to get you giving the credit card, making the commitment, knowing that a percentage of people are just going to forget. And that's what happened. I forgot. And so then I looked at my bill. I was like, whoa, what just happened here? I got charged for all those other premium channels. So what do? Right away, we go in. I still have my NFL Sunday ticket. I still get to watch my Pittsburgh Steelers play. All right. Still get to watch my Carolina Panthers lose, okay, without cutting life, but I was able to cut that by $60 a month. All right, and so a lot of you are going to cut this by a lot more than $100. You might be at a 150, or you might be at 200. Let me give you just a few things here. We'll start rounding third. That makes it easy to pay attention to. You're eating out. Now, when I first started learning these very simple strategies and employing them, the internet wasn't what it is now. So if you're going to go out, let's say you're going to go to a restaurant, some of you may already have certain apps where you get some savings because you've got this particular app. As a worst case, go online and see if there are some coupons. So spend that little extra time to go online and see if there's some coupons. Maybe you wind up saving $10 or $15 or $20 on your meal or what have you, okay? Let's say if you have a job and you normally buy lunch 3 times a week and you brown bag it a couple days, well, maybe you reverse it. Maybe you brown bag it 3 times a week, all right? And you buy twice a week. You know, you save $8, $10, whatever you spend on lunch. Okay, but what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to create cash flow even before our businesses have taken off, so that we've got the cash flow to be able to invest in our businesses. Okay, I remember anything that you're going to buy. All right, you're going to buy something, whatever that something. I don't care how big it is or how small it is. Anything you're going to buy, you know, there's probably an app out there, or at least check online. I forget what it was. It was a service I knew I was going to get, and I think the service was like $30 a month. And I forget the name of the service, but I went to Google and I typed in service coupons, whatever the name of the service was. I don't remember what the name of the service was. All right, and lo and behold, they had a coupon that by entering in the coupon code, I got a 33% discount, I think it was. So instead of being $30 a month, it wound up being $20 a month, saving me $10 a month. Okay. All right. So that was one other thing I was going to say on that. Darn, that birdie just flew away. Good service coupons. Maybe it'll come back. Okay. So look at things like your insurances, life insurance, particularly things like your automobile and homeowners. I used to sell life insurance, and because people, especially in the U.S., are living longer, the insurance rates today are cheaper than they were when I started selling life insurance way back in 1994. It's far more competitive, and you can often just go online and put in your age and all that other stuff, and a lot of times you can get a better plan. I remember that was one of the things we used to do is we would shop, we would find a better plan for folks, and there were so many people that I took from $100 a month policy with, you know, $100,000 worth of coverage to reducing it by 20-30% and even increasing their coverage. I actually had one of my policy owners who died, unfortunately, and when we first did business with her, I think she had $25,000 worth of insurance, and we got her maybe $250, and she actually saved some money, and then she died like 3 years later. So, you know, her family was a lot better off. So my whole point is, look at every way you spend money. Every way you spend money, not just your online stuff. Every way you spend money, okay? And find 10 of those that you can reduce by at least $10 a month without, you know, upsetting your life. And there's an extra $100 there. So what we've covered tonight, as we start to round third, is we've covered what we call the instant pay raise. If you're in the U.S., you or your spouse works a job, you get a tax refund, go on and start getting that money in your paycheck now. Okay? Go to irs.gov, withholding calculator, or change your tax withholding. Just follow suit. Go on and do that. Then we said, hey, go through all your bank statements and all your credit card statements and all your online statements and PayPal and Payza and Silent Trust Pay, and find areas where, you know what, this is a bad expense, I don't need it, or I don't need it anymore. Cancel it or reduce it, okay? And then 10-10 principle basically was built on that, but now we're looking at other things that we're doing in our day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month life. One of the things that helped me is when we moved to our Caribbean paradise, is, you know, we would get our fresh fruits and vegetables. I mean, really fresh fruits and vegetables. But there was one of the stores that we would frequent that on Wednesdays, all the fruits fresh fruits and vegetables were reduced by 40%. So what I did was I made sure that Wednesdays I went and I stocked up to get my 40%. And then on Thursdays, they reduced their meats by 20% or 30%. All right. So it wasn't that far from my house. So I would go on Wednesdays, get my fruits and vegetables. All right. Then I would go on Thursdays and I would get my meats. All right. And just that, saved us quite a bit. Just that saved us quite a bit. Okay. All right. So with that being said, if you've gotten value out of what we've done tonight, in your questions box, put V, and then in a few moments we're going to take some questions and answers, but let us know you got some value. Those of you that are in RAS, do me a favor, make sure that before you hit the pillow tonight, you go into the surfboard. Tell us, don't just say, hey, I enjoyed the webinar. Tell us what you learned the most, all right? And then you might not have learned anything different, but you just were reminded, oh, you know what? Yeah, I need to check out my credit card savings. I need to be doing that kind of stuff. I need to be doing that on a frequent basis, all right? And when you start to employ these things, I want to hear from you, all right? Let us know, hey, I've got an extra $120 a month in my paycheck, or hey, I cut some expenses, and by doing so, there's another $232 a month, or whatever that amount happens to be. We'd love to hear from you, okay? All right. Okay, so now let's get into some optional Q&A. Queen, I'm ready for some optional Q&A. If you put in questions before, I'm going to need you to do it again, because there's been a lot of discussion here. And, of course, we can talk about what we just talked about tonight. We can talk about, if you have some questions about RAS, as long as it doesn't violate our non-disclosure agreement, I'll share that as well. Okay? So go